Hi folks, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today we're going to look at replacing the fuel tap on this R1 with a fuel tap with a reserve. The only reason why I'm doing it is my fuel tap leaks. When I put it in the off position, when I take the tank off, fuel still comes out. I know you can get a washer kit, a seal kit, can't you, to repair the tap, but it's more expensive than buying a new tap. Especially off AliExpress, a cheapo Chinese one that we'll look at in a little bit. Right, so let's just talk about the fuel tap. This is the one I got from AliExpress. It only cost a couple of quid, which isn't too bad. And first impressions, it's actually quite well made. Yeah, it's just a fuel tap, isn't it? A bit of brass there, and got this rubber seal, which is pretty common, I think, on a lot of bikes. Now, of course, we have to work out, this has got reserve on it, as you can see, just turn it to reserve, then of course off. It's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? So what I need to do, I need to work out which is reserve hole and which is the on. So if I click on reserve, I'm going to blow through this pipe and then stick my finger over one of these holes and see which ones the air's come out. So just bear with me a sec. Right then, it's this one. That one's, so it's on reserve, yeah, and it's this one here. So we've got the short little peg then. So the short little peg goes into that one. It's just a push fit. It's a bit tight, but it's a push fit. And of course, obviously the other one then is on. Of course it has to be. So we've got the longer one. Alright, so again, a bit of a push fit. Let's get that in there, come on. Don't want to break the plastic. Right, so it's got a little bit of filter on the top as well. Now, something I have to just bear in mind is, as I explained before, on this R1, it's got a low fuel sensor, and if that low fuel sensor is obviously below this level, right, then we're going to run out of fuel before the low warning light comes on, which is no good, because this is really just a backup, because it'll be in the on position all the time, and the low fuel sensor, I'm pretty sure, is about here. So when the low fuel comes on, it's just a little bit of a reminder to go and get fuel for the bike. I don't want it to cut out when it's down here, because then I've got to get off the bike and put it onto reserve. That sort of defeats the object. So what I might do when we go to fit it on the tank, I might just pop out the fuel sensor and just hold it up to it and just make sure that the little sensor is above this level here. Yeah, okay, we'll have a little look. In the kit, we've got these two fibre washers, which I'm pretty sure go on the back here, don't they? Yeah, and then the bolts go through. Okay, that holds that in place. And we've got these two rubber O-rings. And I cannot see, to be honest, that it would go on there, because it sits too high. I can't see the point either, because that's totally encapsulated by that O-ring. So I can't see where these go. I can't see it being on the bottom, because I suppose you could put it on the bottom of the hole and the bolt, but then the bolt's going to squash against the rubber rather than the force of the bolt pushing the tap up against the tank. I think I've gone on long enough for this. Okay, well look, I'll take the old tap out and we can have a look, can't we? See if it has got any O-rings anywhere. Okay, so let's go and fit it in the bike. Right, sorry about the bit of wind noise and the cicadas in the trees. So I've got the tank off and I've got it upside down. So this is the fuel sender unit, and here we've got the old fuel tap. So I'm just going to take these two screws out and take the tap out, and we'll just make sure that all these hole centres are the same. Just eyeing it up just like that, it does look pretty good. So, but we'll just take it off and have a quick look. Right, yeah, okay, well that comes out alright. The problem I just found was this. Okay, it goes in the tank perfectly. Alright, and all the holes line up. Oops, get it back in place. And all the holes line up, no problem. The only issue is, if I go and turn this onto reserve, let me just turn it onto reserve. Right then, so the problem is when I actually put it back into the tank, the tap hits the tank. Alright, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to just get the angle grinder out and grind that bit off where it says the arrow, where it says fuel. Just grind that down a bit so it can fit on. Well, who said it was going to be simple? Just taking the top off. Just use the file. I didn't use the angle grinder. That's a bit animal, isn't it? Really, for this. Didn't need to use an angle grinder on that. So let's just pop it back in the tank. Let's just see what the clearance is like now. Yeah, there we go, look. When that's in place, says, yeah, there's a few mil. That's fine. That's all we want, 2 or 3 mil. Okay. Righto, so let's get this tightened up. Oh yeah, by the way, we're talking about copper, we were talking about washers earlier on, weren't we? The ones that came off the other tap, where's the other tap? Ones that came off the other tap, it was literally just fibre washers, nothing else on the inside. The same setup gasket, that big oval gasket, and just a fibre washer on the other side. So we'll just go with that again. But it's got a port there for a reserve, but no reserve selection. Just fuel and on, and that's it. Just on and off. Alright, let's get this bolted up and we'll see if it all leaks. Before I carry on, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I've done, I've just taken the low fuel sensor out, and what I said before earlier on when talking about the tap, I wanted the sensor to come on before we got down to this level. And look, it's way ahead, it's way up higher, so of course the light will come on, okay, way before we run out of fuel and have to go on reserve. So in the event that this thing fails, this is the thing that I made, so there's a good chance it could fail. If this does fail, then we run out of fuel, then of course I can put it onto reserve, and then we got from here down to here for fuel to get ourselves to a petrol station. I just thought I'd show you that. So the difference in height, it's actually quite a big distance there. Yeah, it's quite a big distance, so that's plenty. Well, that's all fitted. Let's just try it in the reserve position. Is there a gap? Yeah. Yeah, plenty. That's all bolted up nice and tight. Let's put it in the off position then, and then we can see if we've got any leaks. So that's all back in place. The fuel sender's back in place. Right then. Let's turn it upside down and see if we've got any petrol going everywhere. Well, that's all fitted now anyway, that's no problem. Now, I did have a problem with the little brass bit that the pipe fits onto. I put the pipe on, I wiggled it, and the whole brass piece came out, which was a bit of a shocker really. You don't expect that. I'd have thought if anything there'd be quite an interference fit. So what I did was I pushed the brass bit of pipe back into the tap, and then what I did was I clamped it together. I used these down here, just put that on the brass pipe on that side, other end of the tap, and gave it a squeeze, and you could feel it, you felt it sort of push in and seat. Then I got the pliers on it and I tried to pull it and it wouldn't come out. You know, that was it. It's in there big time. That's not going anywhere. I should imagine the person who was on the job to push the brass pipes in didn't do a particularly good job that day. But everything's fine. Yeah, got a little drip here actually, but I think that's from the water when I washed the bike earlier. Yeah, no leaks. It seems to work fine. The tap clears, you know, the on-off tap clears absolutely fine. Mind you, in that position it's on the on position, so it isn't going to hit it. Yeah, all in all, yeah, it's just a backup anyway, isn't it? Okay folks, well, see if that's any help for you anyway. Oh yeah, just a quick heads up, the whole spacings between the tap, let's get the old tap. Oh, if it's any use to you, the centres between there and there is 34mm. It seems to be pretty standard on a lot of bikes. This whole setup, when you look at loads of taps on the internet, they all seem to have that same type of gasket and same sort of setup. The other thing is the outlet on here is a little bit bigger than the one I've just fitted. Not that I'm worried about it, because this has got a fuel pump on it anyway, and I don't think, unless I'm going to be holding it absolutely wide open on full revs for a long period of time, I don't think I'm going to be starved of fuel. I know people say, high flow this and high flow that, but don't forget this bike's got a fuel pump, so I'm not relying on just gravity feeding the carbs. You know, there's a pump, you know, pumping fuel into the carbs, albeit low pressure. But yeah, so that's the only difference. So if your bike relies on gravity to feed it, just make sure that you get the right size. That's probably 1/4 inch, isn't it? That's probably a 1/4 inch bore size. Mine's a little bit smaller than that, probably 5mm. Yeah, just make sure you've got the right bore size if you're dependent. If that's a problem for you. Alright, well, that's enough of my waffling anyway. Well, I'll get the old bike back together, get the seat on and everything, and see if it all works. Alright folks, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.